Good mornings. This is a Suburban Prepper doing my Good Morning Live on the 21st day of May, 2025, the day of our Lord. No epiphanies last night with anything.
When you're not saying I love you. It's like first base for us. When we get together with our girlfriends, we're not.
No shocking enlightenments, but I did sleep in. So, sleep in. Like to just check the roads before I turn. Forgot to make something for dinner last night. Eat for breakfast this morning. So I'm eating some cold meat. You're gonna see me eating some cold meat, okay, ladies and gentlemen, for breakfast. I gotta have something in my tummy working all day, which is low carb. So meat. I like to eat meat, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm a prepper, okay? That's my whole thing. And I live in the suburbs. It's a rural, very rural suburb, but a suburb nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen. So, and I have different components of my prepping that you may not have. Things that matter to me. And I'm learning that slowly on my channel here on YouTube. I'm creating different playlists for different compartments or components, I should say, of my prepping. Right now, I have 3 different components, well, 4 technically. The prepper, the Suburban Prepper playlist, where everything related to prepping goes, okay? I have a medical playlist where allopathic medical care goes. I believe I have an alternative medicine playlist. And then I have a fun for all playlist. And that's where you can watch, fun stuff, clean, fun stuff. Nothing vulgar. Anyway, yesterday I was playing with the computer, the artificial intelligence, and I wanted to do a video about a couple different monsters from Europe, the mythical beasts from Europe, and I described it in the computer, the artificial intelligence thing, and it gave me a unicorn, it gave me a dragon, a cute little dragon, gave me I said the unicorn, a talking monkey, I think, and another, the flying horses from Greek mythology. And I wanted it to be at a bowling alley, bowling, and they all singing and dancing the same song, but bowling, and the bowling pins start singing. I mean, that's what the idea that came to my head, ladies and gentlemen, for a kid's video. But I wouldn't mark it as a kid's video because what I got was that instead of these 3 or 4 different characters from European mythology. And so, because those are considered generative artificial intelligence, they're not cheap. So AI, ladies and gentlemen, has a long way to go. Or maybe I'm not typing it in, typing enough details in. I thought I did. but it's still a cute video. It was only a minute long or so. So I took the mute, I muted the track because I just didn't like what it had to say. And I put in since it was a dance video, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I put in a dance track from one of the apps that I use to like fix my videos, when I go like, okay. You know what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Like when I say that, when I'm doing a video and I edit that out. So I edited out the sound, okay? You know what I'm saying? I just muted the sound from the original track because it was horrible. And I added a nice, like, house beat, I guess it's what they call it now. I don't know. I've never been to a house beat music festival. And since they were animals, okay, I had animal sounds on my studio program, and I just randomly started putting all the different animal sounds. And, you could have like 3 different speakers, but I just put them everywhere to fill up the track. And I repeated the track, so the video now was 2 minutes long. And there's just animal sounds all throughout the video, all different types of animals. Werewolves, well, not werewolves, wolves, cows, everything. It's very chaotic, very random, but it was beautiful. And the music, and then, there was some syncope with the characters dancing to the sound of the beat. Even if there wasn't, it was a lot of fun to make. Which goes to my next point. You don't prep just for yourself, you as the individual. You're not just, I'm only going to prep. Like, when the suppers and they're only thought for going to bug out into the woods over there for 2 days, then die. No, you prep for your family, number one. Okay, that's why I prep strawberries, because my daughter loves them. That's also why I do medical discussions on pediatric illness and conditions. And subsequent, the alternative methods of medical treatment. Well, just say treatment for both adults and children. Now, one lane that I do stay out of too much is I'm not a dentist, and I'm not a veterinarian. Okay. Now I can pull a tooth. I've done that before. I know how to apply lidocaine. I can sew your tooth line. I can show that to help stop the bleeding, but that's about it. Let me really reiterate by saying I know how to suture a gum line, okay, if I had to, after a tooth is pulled to help stop the bleeding. But that's about the only skills I have dental-wise. Yeah, you can fill a cavity temporarily with some bonding stuff. It's good for 6 months or so. But, sometimes you got to actually drill that cavity out because it's a cavitation. And I don't have the wherewithal to do that. I'm not a dentist. I didn't go to dental school. Most of my training was hands-on during the war on the Afghan National Army. I had horrible teeth, but it was a great experience doing it. This is a 4-way intersection, but there's always accidents here because people don't pay attention to what they're doing. So I had an awkward moment of silence. we'll see how I do today with today's video without the music in the background. I didn't set it up this morning. I forgot. And then I'm thinking maybe I should have it on again. But I think sometimes it can be too much of a distractor. Anyway, not last night, but this morning I woke up at 2 a.m. to take my morning bath, okay? Because that's what I do. Took a nice bath, soaked in the hot water, and the thought came to me. I'm trying to increase viewership and membership or subscriptions on my YouTube channel. And what do other preppers do? And I have to mimic what they do. Now, I make my own content, ladies and gentlemen. You'll know that because you see me. If you see my videos, I do love my AR-15s. Okay, I have a half a dozen of them at least. So it's normal for me to make AR-15 videos. I like my solar panels and my solar generators, and I make videos about that. I can't really do much video about my drones because I don't have a pilot license to fly, and I'm afraid that if I do that, it would be for commercial purposes, and if you don't have a license to fly your drone, you can't make commercial videos. So I don't do a lot of video with my drones flying around. I don't want to do that till after I get my Part 107 pilot license, drone pilot license. And I don't have a ham radio license, although I have multiple ham radio products. So technically, I don't want to get myself in trouble. And we're not in SHTF right now, ladies and gentlemen. So if you don't have a license on a ham radio, I got to follow the rules here, you know. Some people are so speed up, sweetheart. And have some patience, dude. Is it worth getting into a wreck because you're angry when you drive? Yeah, that's so much rage. Okay. So I'm just eating raw meat. Oh, it's cooked meat, ladies and gentlemen. Let me digress when I say that. But I'm eating some ham. I'm eating some pepperoni and a hamburger. And I'm not going through some drive-through, ladies and gentlemen. That stuff is toxic. Tastes good, but it's toxic. So anyway, the thing other preppers do is they do takeaways, or they do giveaways or raffles, or you got to watch what you call it. Like let's say I make a video and I talk about something in the video. And it says, hey, by the way, you know, I'm going to do a giveaway during my live stream on Saturday, and I'm going to do an X product, something that I do have that I can give away. And the thing is, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, a specific comment about something that I went over in that video that you're watching, and then you got to tune in on Saturday at 7 o'clock for said to win in the contest. And that makes you, the viewer, like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, forced to watch the video, whatever video I'm making, to the entire end. Now, I don't have a lot of stuff to give away because I don't have any sponsorships yet, but I got to start somewhere. And One, it'll be fun to do. Be fun to see how many people tune in just to see what they can win. And two, I would only do something related to my aspects of prepping, which I consider to be food preservation, rifle sportsmanship, archery, medical, alternative medical, freeze drying, solar oven cooking, basic bushmancraft prepping skills, solar, radio communications, basic electronics related to like night vision. I do a lot of night vision videos. And it's always going to be related to what I do. How to start a fire with a Fresnel lens, ladies and gentlemen. And some things I thought about doing was finishing up I'm writing a prepper book. And once I get that published, I'll give away a copy of that. That would be a technical, how do I say it? That would be technical, like electronic thing I can give away in the contest. And obviously something that wouldn't, I wouldn't lose money doing. The only money I would lose is just shipping and handling, right? With the hopes of garnering more viewerships. I mean, I'm just being honest. Every day I strive to make better videos. I watch the people that talk about making better videos and what they, oh yeah, e-bikes, ladies and gentlemen. I love doing videos about e-bikes. I think that's the prepper's ultimate vehicle. Okay. And my website, suburbanprepper.com. Well, I do have a blog on there. And every time I do a live stream or something, it goes on there. But I'm working on doing an ebook about prepping, and hopefully I can get it outside of an ebook. Outside of an ebook, I don't want to self-publish though. I'm not well, I have written 2 books, ladies and gentlemen, but I write because I feel something that I have inside me needs to come out in the written word. Okay, like my book of poetry or my book about being a combat medic. But my trade is not being an author. It's just a byproduct of what I do. And now I feel like I'm obligated to write a book about being a suburban prepper. Excuse me, I'm eating, okay? If anybody's really watching this, can you leave me an answer? I'm going to ask a real serious question. Let me finish eating this. You know who Ray Parker Jr. is, the guy who sang Ghostbusters back in 1984? That's when it came out, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that one song, you want to need, and I can't change that. You're the only one I need, and I can't change that. Change if I want to. Is that? But the name of that group on the TV screen here on my car, it says Radio, RAYDIO. But I thought it was Ray Parker Jr. It sounds just like him. Is that one of the same? That like the guy from Journey, Steve Perry, going solo on a song, and you still think it's a Steve, you still think it's a Journey song because it's just Steve Perry's voice. Oh yeah. Let me digress now for real. Steve Perry and what's his name? The country singer, Willie Nelson. They did one of his Highway Run, I think. That song that the Journey did. And it's beautiful. Look it up. Look up the song, ladies and gentlemen. It's made by Willie Nelson and Steve Perry. I mean, their voices have aged some, but beautifully so. That makes sense. It's like even when they're older. I mean, to me, Willie Nelson looked 70 back in the 80s. Okay, that's how I always see him. Well, if that's the case now, he'd be 125 or so. Not doing the math quite right, but he always looked old. So there's this intersection here where you almost do a 45-degree turn. You got to slow down, otherwise you're going to end up in the forest preserve here, ladies and gentlemen. But there's some cars that just won't slow down, and this is where people get into wrecks. You're watching Suburban Prepper. It's 7:25, and it's 54 degrees where I'm at. How's your day going? Anyway, so I'm researching what to do, what I can give away related to prepping, and how I would do it on my channel. I've watched what other preppers do and the way they do it, but they have sponsors. I don't. I mean, I don't have a solar generator system to give away. Everything I have is out of pocket. But people like to win stuff, so it'd be a win-win for everybody. Little secret to my hamburgers that I make on the grill. Okay. I added some bacon. Hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. And some egg. I should have added just one egg. I added two to the bacon or the hamburger that I grilled. And the only thing I should have done different, ladies and gentlemen, was maybe add some bacon that I didn't cook. That way, when it's on the grill, it'll cook as well, ladies and gentlemen. I cook my hamburgers on low, okay? Lowest flame you can go. I don't need to char them. And they stay moist that way when you cook them on low. Okay? You don't need a hot flame. Technically, I mean, you could cook hamburgers at the same time you're smoking something because the heat is low. And you'll have that smoky flavor and you'll have a grilled hamburger flavor. I'll do that sometime, ladies and gentlemen. My next smoking, I'll see how it turns out. Because you're technically not smoking a hamburger. You're still cooking it. And when I smoke my meat, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I smoke it with a high heat. Because that's what I like to do. I don't like to sit there. I smoke for the way I like to. The wood is right underneath the little pit where I put the wood. start a fire and burn it. And then what I also do now, this is a little cheating. I get the wood pellets, you know, that people use for wood pellet things. I just grab them by the handful and I throw them in the fire. Or I have a little spot for them and they get hot and they smoke that way. But, you know, it still adds to the smoky flavor. And I can't take the charred coal and the ash anymore and put it in my big composts now. I have to put them in my, like I would put them in my big 210-gallon soil on the bottom and just let it sit there, and then it'll incorporate with the dirt. Now I got to put it in my compost bin. And let it incorporate as it breaks down. It's neither here nor there. I just want to make sure that it's not hot when I do it. I'm trying to compost everything, ladies and gentlemen. Should I compost the ashes and the charred remains that don't get used? I don't want to throw them away. So yeah, I have that big bin of compost that I'm using, and that's what I'm going to do with it. So there are some items that I have excess of. One being the new Army emergency first aid cards. You know, when you have a casualty and you write the stuff that happened to them. I have thousands of those cards that I could give away. I have my, well, I think it's precious, but I want to give them away. My book, my journey as a combat medic. I could give away a signed copy of that. Okay. I mean, those are two things I have in abundance. I'm thinking of. Anyway, the meat tastes good. Next time, I am not going to put hamburger chips, or not hamburger chips, bacon chips, you know, hard pieces of bacon in it, because it doesn't give it as much flavor. And the way I cook it, it would all get cooked anyway. And they say to put like a hamburger with an egg in it, and it helps keep the hamburger formed better. But the way I make my hamburgers, they don't break apart anyway. I make them by hand, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, my hands are very clean when I do it. I just pat them by hand. And it doesn't have to be perfectly round, okay? It's rounded and beautiful. But, you know, I like to add hot pepper to, not hot pepper sauce, ladies and gentlemen, actual hot peppers. I would put hot peppers in there and give my hamburgers a little sting, a little bite, you know, a little fire. Just hot red peppers, you know. I've got a bunch of peppers I've planted over the years that I freeze dried that are still not open. And then I bought some red peppers, hot peppers, and I add it to everything I eat pretty much. But you don't need a lot just to get that little problem with the Tabasco sauce and all. It tastes great, but it's got a lot of salt, ladies and gentlemen. And I want that kick, okay? Oh shit, I forgot to take my medicine. I forgot to bring my medicine with me. A good way to start the day. Honestly, my blood pressure is too low as it is now because I've really modified my diet. I think I will be okay to go without the medicine for one day. If you forget to do that, I don't know. It's weird, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Sometimes I go and get 5 hours of sleep, okay? But I feel totally refreshed during the day after those 5 hours. But yet, I will can. Oh, you gotta stop here. You're gonna do it, or you're not gonna do it? And put the stop thing out yet. Oh, there's a bus on the side, blinking, but they don't have the stop thing out yet. And then they do that around here. They'll sit at the intersection and they'll wait for to pick up the kid to the school bus. Sometimes they're waiting for 10 minutes. And what kind of system is that? When I was in school, we took the bus because I didn't have any friends to ride the car. My shitty personality, I guess. Anyway, that's train. No, it's not. It's like there's this guy right here. I don't know. There's somebody, a school bus, just sitting there with the blinkers on. So you want to slow down because kids are stupid, and so are grown-ups. But they just sit there waiting for the bus. There's a pace bus. I don't know what the situation is over here, ladies and gentlemen. What the? Okay, there was the left turning lane light was yellow, but this bus was still speeding up like hell. They stopped. These people are not good drivers. Anyway, I digress. I'm almost done eating my breakfast today, and probably be all I eat all day. So, when I'm at work, I don't get to take lunch, okay? Because something always comes up. Now, whatever my designated lunch half an hour is, it's all on paper. But sometimes when the nurse is slow, and I start seeing a patient, I see him during my lunch break. Finish seeing the patient, then I get stopped for something. And then here's the thing that sort of patients will come in early and insist on being seen. Well, there's other patients still waiting to be seen at their time. And they get mad at me because I couldn't just see them early. And if I could, by all means, I would. Any fire that you can put out early, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing to see patients like a fire, but anything you can do to get it done during your day gives you more time to go do something else, ladies and gentlemen. It's chaos once you get to work, okay? Medical care is chaos. And people know when they do this and it's wrong, but they'll do it anyway. Friday afternoons, I'll get a call from it's usually a call from a social worker at an outside hospital they're trying to discharge this patient today before they close, okay? So I get the call around 1 o'clock. We finally reach you, even though they know how to reach me. And we need you to order all this because he wants to get it done through the VA. Because it's whatever. And they could have done a courtesy call the day before. When discharge planning begins on the day of admission. Anyway, I digress. I hate it when someone comes up with an emergency on a Friday afternoon and expecting me to solve it then and there. Not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Well, again, it's 7:40 and I'm 5 minutes out from work. Any comments about that song? Look at that. The John Deere tractor. Where's the John Deere tractor going at here in the suburbs? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing the speed limit. I'm staying in the left lane though because I'm going to be turning real soon. People are doing 60 down this road. For what? The light's not getting any faster. I just dozed out there for a second. So yeah, I'm doing my live stream again. I try to do it every Saturday now at 7 o'clock Central. Whatever time that is for you, local for you, I don't know. And I should be working on what I'm going to do on the live stream at the minute I finish my next one. But I don't. I sort of start planning it now, a couple days out, and then I get it going. These morning video live drives that I make are just things that pop in my head. I don't have an agenda of anything I wanted to discuss. It's just a morning drive time, you know? Leave a comment down below if you've ever heard of Club 390, ladies and gentlemen. There's a railroad tracks that are abandoned. Now, I've never seen or heard a train go down these tracks at all, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I am the slow driver. The bus is trying to pass me up. I mean, they're not going to, but they try. So apparently DJI has a new drone. Now DJI makes their drones in China, okay? And there's a lot of talk about, like, are the drones recording information and sending it to the Chinese? And the company denies it. And I seriously doubt it too. But this brand new drone that's supposed to be like the top-notch brand new drone that they put out in a couple of years isn't selling here in the U.S. because of the security concerns. Now, I get it. China is not exactly a friend of the U.S. right now. Security concerns. That's what happens when you have a weak president with the previous administration. And I say what I say. So, but I don't like to buy into fear-mongering either, ladies and gentlemen. American drone companies make shittier drones, okay? The technology's inferior. Why don't we just steal the technology from the Chinese drones? Because I'm sure originally it came from us anyway. And, you mimic what you respect. And I got to go now. That light turns yellow on purpose as soon as I get into it. Because that intersection, I've got 2 tickets before. I swear to God, I think there's someone from the Chicago board of, let's make money for it. And then they just click on it. He's turning. Let's make it red. Maybe I'm a little paranoid. So that was breakfast. Breakfast of champions. A hamburger, some salami, and a turkey. No, not turkey. Hamburger, salami, and ham, ladies and gentlemen. I never quite understood the word hamburger doesn't have ham in it. A burger is a burger. What makes it a hamburger? Is it maybe because it was from Hamburg, Germany? Hamburg, Germany. Anyway, I'm definitely doing a live stream this weekend, 7 o'clock Saturday. There's not going to be a contest. I want to write everything down first and have it all written down before I do that. I want to see what other channels do more specifically now that I think it's time that I incorporate that into my channel. And apparently there's an app I can use to help. But if I'm only doing one every week or two, I don't know that I want to buy something fancy just and use it just for one thing. And somebody's in my spot. Well, I don't have an official spot. "12 minutes before my shift starts." Not that we do shift work, but you know what I'm saying. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. The video that I want to, or the discussion I think I want to have this weekend, okay, would be on adaptive treatment medicines. Like ashwagandha, how that kind of, these naturopathics work. Adaptogens are what they're called. And I don't know if I'm going to do if there's an equivalent of adaptogens in primary medical care. So adaptogens supposedly help out with autoimmune disorder. So I just came up with my title, ladies and gentlemen, just talking about it. This weekend is going to be, now understand that there's a lot of components to this. It's not just one disorder. I'm just doing I like to record video or do live streams about subjects that are relevant, like how your pancreas quits making insulin because of autoimmune disease and so forth, and how you develop rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and Sjögren's syndrome. A lot of this is autoimmune. So I think I've got my topic just from discussing it with you, ladies and gentlemen. Though there's hours and hours and months and years of research into that. I'm only going to do half an hour presentation at most. But if you can understand more about autoimmune disorders, the mainstay treatment, and of course the alternative treatment, I will have done my service to you, ladies and gentlemen, as a suburban prepper. And I like to research the stuff too. Like I say, I have my book here, and I don't memorize everything in the book. So yeah, this weekend's video is going to be about autoimmune disorders. Subject that we don't really deal with much as nurse practitioners. You send them to a rheumatologist for most of that, or the specialist, depending on what body organ is having issues. And sometimes it takes a multidisciplinary approach when it's multiple body systems involved, like a lupus. Okay, I'm going to call it a day. Suburban Prepper out. Have a good day. God bless you.